As a leader, I imagine there are times that you really struggle in dealing with negative employees. When I'm in a training scenario, one of the top questions that I get asked is, what are some strategies to help me deal with negative employees? I want to share with you today a model that has been one of the most practical and beneficial models for me when it comes to mindset. So I want you to just think right now about a time recently where you've had an interaction with someone and it has been negative in some way, shape, or form. Take a look at this model. So you see on the right-hand side here, we've got something called on the court. And this is where you take personal responsibility for every aspect of your life, of your world, of your results. And being on the court and taking personal responsibility, unfortunately, is not as common as we might like it to be. Now, we're going to distinguish that by looking at what's off the court behavior. Now, off the court behavior, as you can see, this is any area of negativity. If you look at some of the words that you see on the screen right now, this is when people are negative. They're blaming other people. Maybe they're blaming circumstances. They tend to be in the place of complaining. There's always something that's wrong. They might be rationalizing. So they're giving you excuses for why they didn't get to something or why the results weren't as good as they were supposed to have been. And they've rationalized and given you some really good reasons for that. Maybe someone that works with you is just procrastinating. You've asked them to do something and they haven't followed through, and you've asked them again and they're still just procrastinating, but they have really good reasons for that. Maybe you find that some of your employees are just in the place of resistance. All right, if you are in a growth company, and quite frankly, all companies should be growth companies, right? Moving forward, making changes, you are automatically going to have employees who are in resistance. So anything new that comes their way, they're going to show different forms, different signs of resistance. Another thing that you might experience is collusion. So this is when somebody's got a complaint about something or someone else. And rather than dealing with the person who can do something about it, they go and share that complaint with somebody close to them. And then that person goes into collusion with them and they make that complaint even bigger. Maybe they add a dose of drama to it as well. You'll see this last word that I have on the screen is called denial. And yes, I have that written as an acronym because the very best definition that I've ever heard of denial stands for don't even notice I am lying. So here's something I want you to think about. As I was going through and giving you just a few examples, just sharing words with you, I'm guessing you connected those with a number of people who work with and for you. But when you think about that last word, denial, one of the things that I know to be true is that all of us go off the court every day. And we go off the court multiple times a day. And here's why. You know, you look at those words and you say, well, nobody actually wants to be off the court. Nobody would choose to be off the court. Well, notice that there's a line down the middle on that slide. And that line I call the line of choice. The reality is every single one of us has control over only one thing. One thing. And that is how we respond to anything that comes our way. So here's what happens. I don't believe that people actually make the choice to go off the court. I think in most cases, we just get brought off the court because something in our environment has taken us there. There's a trigger. There's someone or something that's been negative. It shows up in our environment and it's automatic to go off the court. Think about this. How much effort does it take to go negative when you're presented with a negative situation? Answer, none. It takes no effort. That's what's normal. That's what's natural. And quite frankly, that's what's habitual. It does, however, take conscious thought to stay on the court or even to get back on the court if you've fallen off the court. That takes effort. It takes awareness of the fact that you have the choice. That's why that line in the middle is so important to remember. You have the choice in every moment of every day whether to go off the court or on the court. Now, we already know that oftentimes we get pulled off the court, so the choice becomes, how quickly can I get myself back on the court in light of whatever's happened? And it may not be pleasant, and it may be negative, but the reality is you have the option to go wherever you choose to go from a mindset perspective. Now, one of the biggest issues we have is awareness. It's very, very easy to see off the court behavior in someone else. It's easy to see in our employees, in those who work for us, in our families. Oh my gosh, think about your spouse or your kids. So easy to see. What's not easy to see is when you yourself are off the court. That's why oftentimes when we're off the court, we're in denial. I don't even notice that I'm lying to myself. I don't even notice that I'm off the court. So I'm going to give you this single best indicator that you could have. I'm going to give you sort of a tip for you to remember that will help you have the heightened awareness of when you're off the court. And I do this in a very simple emoji fashion. So notice on the court has a smiley face and off the court has a frowny face. So I put that up there just as a reminder for you that your emotions will tell the story. So emotions do not just show up, they're actually caused by your thinking. So every time you think a thought, your body then goes into this vibration that we know as emotion. And that vibration matches the thought that you were just thinking. So in the event you were thinking a negative thought, guess how that vibration or feeling is going to feel? It's not going to feel good. So I want you to think right now about where do you usually feel those negative emotions? For me, I feel it in my solar plexus, so like in my stomach. And I know anytime that feeling shows up for me, that's my indicator. That's my light bulb that goes on to say, Heather, you're off the court right now. So I can go back and think, okay, what was the thought that I was just thinking that made me feel this way? And I guarantee you every time that thought is off the court. That thought is negative. It's probably my automatic response to whatever has just happened. Then and only then, in that awareness, do I now have an opportunity, a choice, to think something different. And that's when I challenge myself constantly to get quicker and quicker at getting myself back on the court. So I'll challenge myself. Okay, how can I take personal responsibility? What can I do about this? Can I change this situation? Yes or no? If I can't change it, then I can change my attitude about it. And I get to choose that attitude. So the best news is it's all up to you. And I want you to know this for yourself. I want you to ask yourself constantly when you're off the court, what do I need to do to get myself back on the court? Sometimes, like my easiest ways of getting back on the court, like if I'm really off the court, if something really dramatic has happened, I might go and listen to my favorite song because music can bring you back just in an instant. Or I might, even better, if it's really, really bad, I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to turn to somebody like Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, one of my favorites, like Earl Nightingale. And I'm going to play something that is positive, something that will seep into my subconscious mind and make me smile. So you figure out what it is for you when you're having a tough time getting on the court by yourself. You can use a book, a video, a song. And when you recognize this behavior in someone else, it's really important to know that unless they've been taught this concept, it's very hard for them to be responsible for being off the court because they probably don't realize they're there and they probably don't know that they have a choice in the matter. So leaders, train your team on this concept. On the court is the only way to get productivity out of your team.